Alright, folks, welcome back to the Empire. King Carol here.
Laura.
And we got my boy La Force all the way from Chicago, Chi-Town, baby. We out here. And then you guys already know Carol. She was our last guest on the last video.
All the way from Plainfield.
You already know. We got Illinois up in here today. You know what I'm saying? 3 of them against me. Indiana, 3-on-7, represent each and every day and night. But without further ado, though, today we're going to talk about long distance relationship. This can be a little tricky for some folks, and it can be a little touchy for some folks. But really, this is all based on individual experiences. So there is no right or wrong answer. It all depends on what works for you and what don't work for you. Hopefully you guys learn something from it. Take what you can, leave what you don't want. Don't go around acting like we're experts. We're not. So with that being said, we're gonna jump into the discussion of today. So I'm gonna throw a question out there for you guys. Do you guys think long distance relationships work or you don't work?
Yes or no? So you can go ahead, Carol, first, and then we'll have LaForce.
About long distance relationship, my opinion is that they work, but it's conditional.
Okay, conditional. Okay. LaForce, do you think long distance relationships work?
It's supposed to be a PG conversation.
No. Let it rip, baby. Let it rip.
Okay. Hell no. Long distance relationships are literally doomed to fail from day one, in my experience.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think they can work, and I have 3 bulletin points that we can jump into later why I think they can potentially work, but they are very, very difficult.
I think I'm with all y'all. It works. Sometimes it don't work. It just depends on the setup, But I'll chop it up as well on why I think it can work and cannot work. It's like a 60-40 type of situation, So we're going to chop it up. But I want, Carol, can you explain yourself why you think it works but it's conditional? Just explain yourself, and then we'll go to La Force. Then, everybody just chop it up. And if you got something to argue when somebody else's point, just feel free to, and then, you can say a 2 cents.
So the reason why I say it's conditional is, first of all, if you're in a long distance relationship and you know that at some point you're going to meet, that long distance relationship setup is temporary, then you can make it work. If it doesn't go on for too long, being long distance, and if you don't have an idea like when you're gonna meet or when this relationship is gonna stop being long distance, then that will be a problem. But as long as you know that you have plans to meet and you're gonna meet sometime soon, or then I think it works. If you have what you call it, constant communication, you're communicating regularly, you're sharing each other's lives. It's just that you're not with each other physically. So that's my first point, why I'm saying it works.
How about you, La Force?
Thank you, Carol, for sharing that. For me, in my experience, and again, this is my unique experience, so others might be different. I feel that in a relationship, one thing that is critical is physical touch. And when you're in a long distance relationship, you will not have physical touch. I mean, you can talk to each other on video, you can talk on the phone, which is great. I mean, I love talking to people. I'm talking to y'all right now. But at the same time, our relationship will not really carry the depth if we can't, in a romantic relationship, be able to give each other a hug, or be able to pat each other on the back when we're sad. I'm not even talking about sex. I'm talking about like just literally being able to embrace each other as human beings normally do. And so to me, automatically the setup of a long distance relationship is you set up to fail, in my opinion. And to me, it's like, if you really like this person and potentially, there's a situation where maybe in the future, you guys are in the same city or in the same place, just wait for then. Because otherwise, I think, again, it just kind of puts a strain on your relationship as you're trying to build it long distance. And yeah, I think it's just like, hey, if you can wait for this person, just be patient and wait, but don't jump into a relationship. Don't even try it. Just say, hey, it's a friendship, because that's what it is. We talk on the phone, stuff like that. That's cool. I do that with friends, but I don't want to do that with my girlfriend, which will eventually be my wife. That's just me.
Oh yeah. What do you think?
Personally, I have 3 things I think are very important to make a long distance relationship work. Not to put a lot of our business out there, but our relationship was long distance for the longest. But the 3 things that, from our experience or my experience at work, for one, communication is definitely key, right? But if you guys don't see each other often enough, there's certain things that you just can't talk about anymore. Like, so how was your day? How was work? How's your mom? How's your dad? Okay, because you're not building new experiences to talk about, right? So communication is definitely key, for one. And for 2, at least seeing each other every now and again. So eventually we got better, but we wouldn't go 2 to 3 weekends in a row of not seeing each other. So I think it's important to make sure that you guys are seeing each other every now and again. Hence, long distance can be different. Long distance can be Memphis, Tennessee, and Texas, or long distance can be America and Africa, which is, you know what I mean? So it's different. You probably can't see each other every other weekend or once a month. Right. So I think that's secondly very important, that you guys kind of try to see each other often. And then thirdly, I think when when it's coming to an end, that gives you something to look forward to. Like, okay, I only have 6 more months of this. If I do 6 months, and I'll be with this person, and then we can have our lovely, forever after. But when you don't know when it's coming to an end, like you don't have anything to look forward to. You just, so I think they can work, but they're very, very difficult.
Yeah, you kind of tapped into a lot of my points as well, but yes, to me it works, but we've seen the challenges that it comes with. There's a lot of unique challenges, the good, the bad, the ugly. We all have seen that. If you haven't experienced it, I'm sure you've seen it from somebody else. But the question is, how do we learn to survive from that and making sure that that relationship works and be a success? Like you say, communication. Yes, communication can be a good thing to have, but just communication only ain't gonna save that relationship. That's when I kind of lean towards La Force's points, where if we're just talking on the phone all the time, FaceTiming, that don't really do it. Yes, that's the backbone, but I still need the legs. I still need the arms for the whole body to be considered a full body. Communication is the backbone on any relationship, but that alone is not enough to making sure that that relationship will be a success. So with that being said, I would tap into your point where, yes, you need to know when that thing is coming to an end. I mean, how I define a long distance, if you are more than an hour away from me, we're on a long distance relationship, you know what I'm saying? If I can't just pull up on you like that, like you're down the street, you're on a long distance. So we still need to see each other more often. I'm sure people who are in a relationship, even if they're in the same city, they don't even see each other every day. Sometimes because people get busy, schedules are different and whatnot. But we gotta make an effort. If we know that we're in a long distance, we have to make that effort to see each other as much as we possibly can. considering those challenges that we have. Go ahead, Nafas.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think communication is the foundation of a relationship, no question about that. But I guess in my experience, in the long distance relationship I was in, well, first off, we weren't around the corner. We were like, I was in Ohio and she was in New York, and then I was in Australia and then she was in New York. So, you know, two different continents and then two different states that are pretty far apart, right? So we had to be, it made it really tough. On a communication end, I think it's hard with long distance to build a relationship with someone, because long distance, you can choose when to talk to that person. And you can choose really what you talk about. But the main thing is you can choose when to talk to that person. That's not a realistic relationship. That, like, you know, you can only like, hey, I feel happy today. You know what? I can, you know, call Kay. I feel happy, so let me talk to him. You know, what about when you feel mad? What about when you feel sad? You know, and particularly, God forbid, it's like a time difference. Then it's like, okay, you guys, you guys are like living two separate lives, right? And you're trying to say, hey, you know, you're together as one, but realistically, you're not together as one. That person, when the hard times come, especially if they're further away, they might not be able to come to your rescue. And I think that kind of, you know, over time, it's hard to, you know, build a sense of intimacy with that person, because there's going to be other people that are nearby. It might be a friend or a family member that can fulfill that need because they're right there next to you. And you're going to lean on them a little bit more than, you know, your significant other. And so I would just say, like, at least in my experience, it was really hard to just feel like very close and intimate. And then for us, like, over time, then what ended up happening was we started to grow apart. Because again, I think it's just human nature. You desire to have someone close by that you can rely on, that you can confide in, and that can literally be there. And I don't mean just a phone call. I mean, like, actually pull up, like, show up. And so, you know, I think when your significant other can't fulfill that need, I think it, you know, again, over time, it starts to hurt the relationship. I think, now let me say this. For me, I think things are different if you guys were together, let's say, for years and years, and you're like married, and it's like a short-term assignment, like where you're just apart for 3 months. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm more so talking about you literally like getting to know someone maybe in the earlier parts of the relationship, long distance. Like, I don't think that works.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a different ballgame. I mean, you know, if you guys have been married and known each other, spend so much time together, create all these memories, and then somebody has to go away for a little bit, that's not gonna affect the relationship, you know, because it's just a temporary thing. Whereas if you're starting, oh yeah, now there's gonna be a whole lot of challenges, you know, and if you're dating somebody and I haven't even seen you physically, you know, it sits a little different. You know, let's say I met you online. That's a whole different ballgame. You know, I need a little hug and a little kiss or something. You know what I'm saying? Just to, you know, get me where I need to get to so I can make sure this thing works. You know, sex. Oh yeah, for sure. That'll definitely do the trick. But I'm gonna let Carol say a point.
I'm gonna bring about the issue of trust, because I feel like that also can determine whether the relationship works or it won't work. Because if there's trust, then you know that even if that person isn't communicating at a certain time or whatever they're going through, then you are able to still, you know that this is my person. You know, we're still together. It doesn't mean that if they're feeling a certain way and I'm not able to talk at that time, then it means that the relationship is off. You know, so, and also when there's lack of trust in a long distance relationship, it brings about all these suspicions, you start suspecting this person because of this assumption that if you're not together physically, someone will look for, someone to be with them because they need to feel some physical, you know, connection with someone. So because of that, if there's that suspicion, you already suspect that, they won't be able to do without the physical connection. So that moment that, maybe you try to call him or her and they don't pick up, you then start thinking that maybe they're with someone. But if you trust each other, then you don't have to think that far about things. And therefore you're open with each other. And I still insist that it can work. But also I agree that it cannot be for long. And also it has to be after you've met, when you just meet and online and you've never met physically and you just, that to me is not a relationship as such. So the issue of trust also comes into play. Besides communication, is trust.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So true. And like if you really haven't met each other and haven't been hanging out, you guys are friends. You're pen pals, except
Yeah, I mean that's what LaForce said.
pen pals. I mean, and I want to comment on what LaForce said, when he said physical touch. So I always love to talk about love languages, and I think
Yeah, you read about it. Mine, man. That was my next point.
we're in sync, baby. We're in sync. So I like to talk about love languages, right? And the reason why I like to talk about love languages is, so I'll use mine. My number one, we took a test and it's like 5 different love languages, and it's kind of like rating it from 1 through 5, right? And my number one was words of affirmation. So potentially for me, my long distance relationship might last a little longer if my partner understands my love language is words of affirmation. All I need to hear is that encouragement that I love you, that I miss you, I'm saying, you're doing great with this, you're wonderful at that. But if your number one love language is physical touch, hunty, you want to hug me, kiss me, touch me, hold me, that's not going to work, you know what I mean? Because now you're expecting that physical touch from somebody who's neither here nor there, like it's just nowhere close enough for you to get that physical touch. That's when we start now getting that physical touch from other people, and those other people start causing issues in your relationship. Understand?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, like I said, you read my mind on that one. So I think for the viewers, the point that they should really take at this point is, I think to me, this is my own advice, my 2 cents. It can not work for everybody, but make sure, when you start, talking to this person that you guys already started there for the long distance, right? Maybe you met online or whatever, or you got hooked up, whatever the case is. Make sure you take that love language and understand each other. That'll help you all understand each other better. Because if you already know that this person loves to be touched and kissed and given hugs and whatnot, that might not work because you're not there to do all that. You know what I mean? But if, like she said, she wants them words of affirmation, if I know that, hey, I'm gonna be in a long distance with this person, and really what they really like is those words of affirmation, it kind of helps me understand them, love them the way they need to be loved, because not everybody's the same. We all don't translate love the same, right? Especially if you're dealing with your partner. The love that you get from your family and your partner, those are 2 different types of love, in my opinion, So for your partner, that's where, you have to do a little research, dig a little deeper and then do that test, because I think it can save people time, for example, save unnecessary heartbreaks. Because if I already know that, hey, you need to be touched, I ain't out there to touch you. I'm all the way in Japan. We got different time zones. By the time you go to bed, I'm at work. By the time I go home, you going to bed. It don't work, right? So I already know. Let me just save my heart. My heart is living. So I just gotta save my little ass heart. Make sure that you don't get broken, right? So I think for your situation, my force, that would have been one of those things where you apply that love language test, right? Because you already know, obviously, you got the distance, you love being touched. So, if you had figured that part out, that would have saved you a whole shitload of stress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I first off, I'm a big proponent of 5 love languages and learning about it and learning which one you guys are in as a couple, because I think that helps you guys become more compatible, even if you're together. For me, actually, my number 1 love language is similar to Laura, words of affirmation. So, with that being said, I don't mind talking on the phone. I enjoy that. But at the same time, to me, again, this was my experience. Maybe it might be a little bit different. I was with this person for a year prior to us being long distance, so it wasn't like a brand new relationship. We had been together, but we started to grow apart because I felt that I was literally experiencing life without this person. Mm-hmm. And, over time, you talk to them on the phone about it, but, experiencing it firsthand with that person and building those memories and then telling them about it secondhand and they, can learn about it and react to it is 2 completely different experiences. It was almost as if, like, they're my Facebook friend. Like they can see what's going on in my life because I'm telling them every day, right? When we talk on the phone. But, they weren't able to see, like, the expression on that person's face. Or they weren't able to see, like, how I felt when we were going through this. Or, like, they weren't able to pick up on little differences and nuances. And for me, I was just like, you know what? For me, I was just like, you know what? I would rather experience this with someone that's nearby me, that's here. If we, happen to get back together and we're in the same city, then this will work out great. But right now, it's creating distance between us. And so yeah, I mean, that was at least my experience, but I know that, others might be different. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the longer you guys are apart, obviously, the more uncertainties, I mean, English is hard, but, the more of those uncertainties start to grow and become actual existence, that crisis becoming actual existence. Because let's say, like Carol said, maybe you're starting to have a little trust issues here and there. The more you guys are apart, the more that issue grow. And before you know it, you really don't trust that person. They tell you they're sleeping, like, were you really sleeping?
Are you really?
And then now, things start getting a little funky. So yeah, I mean, you guys are absolutely right. And, good points so far, good points. What do you got, Carol, for us?
While I agree with Lacoste about being together and, that there's a risk of people growing apart because of distance, I also think that when you're in a long distance relationship, you're kind of forced to talk, to make up for the absence of physical connection by talking. So you end up talking about different things that maybe sometimes people don't get to talk about because they're together and they quickly develop the physical connection first, and they don't get to talk about things, word of mouth, I mean. So sometimes you're with someone, you are there with them physically, but you don't really know them because maybe your level of communication by talking is lower. It's like because you're together physically, you don't need to talk that much about stuff. But in a long distance, you have to talk about things. You have to talk about what you feel about stuff. You get to express yourself. And if you're someone who can express themselves well, then it works. By the time you get to meet, you feel like you already know this person a lot. And also, as long as you're looking for, if you're planning to meet at some point, there's something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
I think you can always work at, okay, on this day we're gonna do, you're doing your countdown, and that keeps it alive, you know. But if you don't have any plans, or if it's very difficult, you know, if you're in different countries, for example, and it's difficult getting a visa or things like that,
Mhm.
then it might end up being, you know, you end up getting tired because you don't know when you're gonna meet, and it becomes like, okay, so do we keep lying to ourselves that we're in a relationship when we're actually, you know, will never be together, you know? So, but if you're looking forward to meeting, then it's fine. It's gonna work. You'll make it work.
Absolutely.
So pretty much, to kind of like wrap it up, what we've said so far is, one, communication has to be there. Communication has to be good because it's needed. Distance has to be temporary, right? You have to have that date that you're looking forward to meeting this person, spending actual time together. And one out the end as well is, be slow on the judgment, but, don't judge too quick, that can also messes up things like trust and all that kind of stuff. So take a little judgment slow there a little bit. What else can you guys summarize so far from what we got?
Preferably do not start the long distance relationship from day one. However, it was a different situation for LaForce. So that's why it's like it's situational, really.
And the love languages also matter.
And the love language.
Yeah.
What matters to you more.
Make sure you take your love language test when you guys first start. That'll help you understand each other. And
they need to sponsor us. Love language. We're over here talking about love language.
Yeah.
Or sex.
because love itself too is not enough. Just like how communication, by itself is not enough. Love is not enough, man. Both of you need to, have life visions, that align. You gotta have goals that align, share the same values, and pretty much mutual interests. Like if somebody believe in all of this and go in that direction, and I'm trying to go down that road, we'll never build to meet somewhere where we can build something that can be concrete, right? So I think we pretty much hit most of them. So we all agreed to disagree on certain things, and we agreed on certain things. That was really good. Do you guys have any additionals before we wrap it up?
Let LaForce wrap it up for us.
I mean, again, I agree that I think that it is it's conditional. So, I think for the right couple, it could potentially work, especially if you all have a long-standing history. You all have identified the different love languages and stuff in advance. I think that it can potentially work. However, I'm also going to add this in because I remembered I didn't add this in. However, I feel that long-distance relationships are like, or at least they can be like, okay, if I am really committed to this person, it can work. But if somebody else comes along that is in my immediate orbit that fits all the same qualities as you, that person's either going to be cheating on you or they're going to be saying to you, hey, I don't think that this is going to work. Because I feel like long distance relationships, they're going to be temporary one way or the other. Either temporary, either meaning you guys need to come together at some point. So you need to identify how long this is going to last and when it's going to end. Or someone's going to do that for you, meaning that person is going to see somebody and be like, hey, they have all the qualities you have, but they're here. I'm going with them.
Right.
I think that's real talk.
Yeah, I mean,
that's real stuff right there.
Yeah, right. I mean, especially, folks is quick, man, hey,
You gotta
like,
be quicker than that.
you gotta be quick, because if you don't know when this thing is coming to an end, really, you kind of wasting each other's time. You know, like you said. Go ahead, Dora.
Can I just add something? Sometimes it's not about the person finding someone else to replace you. Sometimes it's just you get tired of the situation. You know, it's not like you've met someone who's going to replace or who's going to make up for whatever you're missing. But it's about, are you still okay being in this? Sometimes you just feel like, okay, is it worth it? I'd rather be alone than in a relationship where I feel like I'm alone.
Say that again. Say that again. They didn't hear you. A little louder.
I'd rather be alone than be in a relationship where I feel like I'm alone.
Right.
But you see, for you to even get to a point where you're getting somebody else is because you're already tired. Now you're starting to look around, you know what I'm saying? See what else? Yeah, you know. Then that's when you find that one person that, before you know it, you're gone, you know. Then I gotta you gotta break the news to that long distance person that, hey, look here, remember what we got going on here? That ain't gonna happen no more, you know. Yeah, I mean, long distance is tricky. It's very tricky, you know. It's just, it works for some, it don't work for others. Personally, I feel like, you know, maybe if it's like your first time being in a long distance, you will face a lot of challenges. And sometimes if you don't have the right guidance around you, like the right support system, that will definitely not work. That relationship will not last, because, you know, if you got friends that maybe, for example, if you all go out, you know, I'm a boy, so if we go out with my boys, you know, they're not in a long distance. Maybe they're probably single. They go out there, you know, get some girls or whatnot, and then you're trying to be faithful, right, during this long distance. And then, you know, they got the extra one. Hey, can you take one for the team? You know, that's when it starts. That's when it really starts. And then this one that you take one for the team now is doing all this other stuff that the other one don't do, right? They're right there to give you a hug, give you that kiss if you go for it, whatever it is that, you know, you're missing, because they're right there to do it. And then you be, man, do I really need that long distance girlfriend? Man, I don't need all that. Come on, let's live a little. Then it's over.
Yeah. So in the end, due to the sake of time, we're gonna have to wrap up. This was a good conversation. Of course, it was so nice to have you, Carol. It was nice to have you again. This is a good conversation. And once again, just a disclaimer, this is based on our experiences. It might work for some, it might not work for some. And we're definitely looking forward to seeing the comments down below. This is going to be a heated conversation. I can already feel it in my bones.
Yeah. You already know King K out there, like I said, you know. If you have any other topics that you would like us to chop it up here at the Chibang Empire, we're always welcome. If you want to also be part of our guests, hey, just holler at us and we'll make it happen. You already know. My boy La Force showed up all the way from Chi-Town. You already know.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right.